So now let's get into the weightier matters. Now first we have to make some slight moderation to this template. We just need a button to tell the user where to click to go ahead with the purchase or the purchasing of the ticket. So I am going to paste in a code here that is going to give us the button for that. So okay, so you can pause it and enter this 2 or 3 lines of code into the template. This is the only change that we are going to do to the Bravisis template. Alright, so now let's check, see how it looks like. Alright, so you can see we have some button over here. Okay, let's style it up slightly. Where is the static? So inside the static file we have a style.css file. Let's go to the bottom of it and go to, first it has a class of purchase btn. Okay guys, so the only CSS you are going to add is this one. So add these 3 lines of code to the CSS file inside the static folder, and this is how it's going to look like. This is just a simple button, no much styling. Okay, so now, okay guys, so let's continue. So we have added the button, and now we have our movies rendering from our database. So whether this seat has been chosen or has been bought by somebody already or is occupied, we don't know, and we don't want to statically add the occupied class to the seat directly inside the template. Let me show you. To the seat. So let me just add occupied to this one. Let's refresh. You see it's showing as occupied, but you don't want it to be this way. You want it to be rendered from the backend, so when we load up the page on the start, we are going to make a request to the backend to receive the number of seats that has been occupied or that has been booked already, so that it will be filled by the JavaScript to be occupied instead of putting it statically inside the template. So let's take it off and let's build that functionality in. Okay, so inside our view we are going to build a view called occupied seat. I'm going to take in the request. Then the request is going to be a post. So we take in data. We are going to take the body of our request. So request.body. This one is going to give us a byte string, so we want to convert it. We want to convert it to a dictionary, so we are going to use json.loads. So first let's import JSON. Import JSON. All right. Okay. So inside the request, or inside the body of the request, is going to be the movie title. Oh. Sorry guys, I don't know where this is from. Okay, inside the body of the request is going to be the body title. So that's what you are going to hold onto the movie. So from the movie data or the movie table, we are going to search for the movie that has the particular title that was passed inside the request body. So we're going to check the title is equal to the data. Because you have used JSON here, the JSON.loads to format the body, which was in byte string. We can use the key movie title, which will be inside the body of the request. All right, so now we want to get the occupied seat. So we are going to have a variable called occupied. So occupied is going to be the movies, or the movie dot. And when we check the, let me close some of this. When you check the movie table, you can see it has a booked seats field, which is a many-to-many field. All right, so yeah, that's what you are going to get hold of. So you are going to get off the booked seat, not seater, seats dot all. Because it's a many-to-many field, you are supposed to use the dot all, so you'll be able to get all the seats. Okay, so instead of getting the seat, this one, so this here is going to give us the class instances of this seat, because it's a many-to-many seat. It's a many-to-many field to this seat table here. It's a many-to-many field to this seat here. So it's going to give us the whole instance of every book seat, or of every seat that is created when we book a seat. But we don't want that. We just want the book seat number, so that we'll be able to send it back to the front end for it to be marked as occupied. So first you are going to have to create a list out of that. So seat, so occupied seat. Okay, so that one's going to be a list, and you are going to use a map function and use a lambda that's going to take a seat and to return the seat dot, or the seat dot seat num -1. I'm going to tell you why we use the -1 when we get there. Sorry, oh, my keyboard is worrying me. All right, we are going to pass it the occupied. Okay, so this one here is going to return as a list. Okay, so we can use the map function on it. Okay, so the map function is going to give us a map object, so we convert it into a list here. All right, and now we return it. We want to return instead of sending a render, this one is going to be a JSON response, JSON response, okay, and the JSON response takes a dictionary, so it's going to give the occupied seat, and it's going to be occupied and the movie. We are going to send the movie to. So instead of sending the movie title, you are going to send the string format of the movie. All right. Okay, so we have to import this JSON response. So from Django.attp import JSON response. All right. Okay, so this is the view that is going to handle checking whether the number of seats that has been booked and returning it to the front end for the JavaScript to fill that particular seat div with the occupied class instead of us doing it statically. Okay, so now let's add it to our URLs. So let's bring it here, occupied seat. Okay, so that is going to be a path that goes to occupied. That goes to occupied. It's going to use the occupied. Occupied seat, and let's give it a name of occupied seat. Occupied seat. All right. Okay, so now we have the view that is going to do the checking of whether the seat is occupied or not. Okay. So now let's go to let's refresh and see whether we have any error. Okay, we are working fine. So now what we have to do is now it's inside the JavaScript. We have to have a JavaScript file that is going to make a request to the backend to receive the list of booked seats and to enter or to dynamically add the occupied class to it or to the particular seat that has been booked. Okay, so for us not to have make any further changes to Brad Traversy's script file, we are going to create our own script file or our own JavaScript file inside the static. I'm going to call it backend.js. All right. Okay, so now we have our own JavaScript now. So now let's add it to our index.html. Okay, so let's add it to at the bottom after Brad's own. So it's going to be script. All right. Okay, so you're supposed to add static to backend dot js. All right, okay, so that's all, and you are done. Okay, so let's just put a console.log here to check whether it is working. Let me open the console. Let me refresh. Okay, so you can see the working coming in, so it means we have our JavaScript working now. Okay, so before we go ahead, so we are going to create some constants first. So we are going to take hold of all the seats inside the index.html. So we are going to use document dot query selector. Then the seats have they are all in particular a div called row, and they all have a class called seat. So they are in a div called that has a class called row, and the seat itself has a class called seat. All right, so now we have all the seats now. So we are going to create a function that is going to make a request to the back end. Okay, so because it's going to use fetch inside the function, it's supposed to have async. It's supposed to be an async function. So I'm going to call it contact API. It's going to take the URL and the body that is going to post or send to the back end. Okay, so inside you are going to have a response that is going to be a fetch call, so we are supposed to await fetch. Yeah, we are going to take in the URL here. Okay, so most of the contacts that are going to do at the back from the front end to the back end is going to be a post request. So you are supposed to add those details too. It's going to be a post. It's going to have a headers, which is also a dictionary. Content dash type, that is going to be application /JSON. All right, okay, so now we have that. Then what we need is the body that we are posting to the back end. That one is going to be a JSON dot stringify of the body that was passed in the function, that will be passed inside the function. When you are done, you are going to return a response .json. Okay, so this is what you are going to return. So this function here called contact API is what is going to make all the post requests to the back end. All right, okay, so now we want to make a request to the back end to know whether the seats to know the number of seats or the particular seat that has been occupied already. So first we are going to have a constant. You're supposed to have the movie title, as you can see from the view here, that it is expecting the body to have this this key inside, which is called the movie title. So we need that. For us to get the movie title, we will get it from, you see I told you that we are using the ID inside the option, so it will be a special thing for that particular option. So that's what you are going to use to identify which particular movie has been selected or which option has been selected. Alright, so we are first going to take hold of the title. So we need a movie title, so it's going to be MovieSelect. So you'll be asking me that what should there, where is MovieSelect? MovieSelect has already been declared by Brad Traversy inside his script file here. So the MovieSelect is getting hold of the select tag, this select box. It's getting hold of the whole select box here. Getting hold of the whole select box here. Alright, so let's go in, let's continue. And we want the option. We want the option that has been selected, so it's going to be MovieSelect dot selected dot selected index. Okay, so that's this movie dot selected index is going to give us the particular movie that has been selected, or the particular option that has been selected. So in this case, it is going to give us the option that has the Avenger into bracket $5 in it. Alright, so let's say we choose this one. It is going to give us Joker into bracket the $10 cedis, $10. Alright, so then we want the ID. We want the ID. So because the ID has the title inside it, that's what we want. Alright, so now, because as we have the movie title, now we can now make a contact to the API. Now you can contact the API. And from our URLs, we have occupied, so that's where we are going to hit the part of the back end that we are going to hit for us to get the occupied seats. So occupied, and you are supposed to pass it a body. Okay, the body is supposed to contain the movie title, which is very essential. And in JavaScript we can do something like this to create an object which has the key this and the value a constant or a variable that has the same title. So it's in reality it looks like this. This is how it looks like, but you can shorten it in JavaScript so that you have it looks simple. Okay, then we attach a dot then to it because it's going to return a promise. Okay, so now you have, from the promise, you want to catch our data. When it resolves, it will be given as a data. So let's print our data. Sorry guys, let's print our data. All right. Okay, so let's go and refresh. Let's open the console yet. Okay, so we are getting cannot read the property of 0 of undefined. Okay, so let's check our JS. They say line 15, so it's supposed to be options, not option. All right, now let's refresh once again. Okay, we have a different error. It says forbidden. So let's go back and check our terminal. You see it says forbidden, Csrf cookie not set, so it has been forbidden, or the post could not go through. It was given a forbidden return 403. So for us to be able to post to our backend, first we are supposed to have a Csrf token inside our header. So to go around it, we are going to apply a Csrf exempt token to our view, so that we'll be able to make a post to it without the Csrf token yet. So from Django .views .decorators .csrf import Csrf exempt. Okay, so now let's decorate it with this Csrf exempt. All right, so now let's refresh again. Okay, so we had a 500 error, so it means our server is still suffering. Okay, so we made an error here. It's supposed to be objects, not object. Sorry guys, let's refresh again. This time around it's going to work. And it did not work. Okay, it says movie is not defined. Oh, it's supposed to be movie. Sorry, this time around it is surely going to work. Last refresh. Okay, so you can see we had an array, or we returned an object which has the movie title and the book seat, which you can see was which is an empty list. All right, so let's change this thing to Avengers and let's refresh again. You can see from the request it's Avengers here. Nice. All right, so we are on track. All right, so you can close this, then move back to our back end dots. Okay, so now you are receiving the data from our back end. So we know the seats that are being booked or that are booked already, so we have to find a way of adding classes, the occupied class to it. So first, let's get hold of the occupied seat array themselves. So from the data, we had a key that is occupied seat. All right. Then we have, let's get hold of the movie title too. Movie. All right. Okay, so now okay, so the next thing you want to do is you want to get the seats that are stored inside the local storage. You'll be asking why the seat that has been stored inside the local storage. So let's say a person comes to the web page, chooses this thing, does not purchase it, and goes and come back again, and at that particular time, or that time he comes back, somebody has come and purchased these two seats already. Then we have to find a way of taking this seat from the person's local storage for the person to choose new seat and to have the right calculation also here. So let's take hold of the seat in the local storage. So it's going to be local storage. So here we are going to use a ternary operation or operator. So we're going to get the item that is selected. Selected seat. We are going to check whether there is an item called selected seat. If it exists, then give us json.parse give us a json.parse of the local storage, dot get item with selected seats. If it does not exist, then return a null. Alright, so now we have the seats from the local storage. So now we want to know the particular movie index that is also inside the local storage. So movie index is going to be local storage dot get item selected index, selected movie index rather, sorry. All these local storage variables has been set by Brad Travesey already inside his course, so I'm just making use of them. Alright, let me show it to you guys as soon as possible, as quick as possible I can. Let's go to application. So you can see here movie index and seat in the selected seat, selected movie index and selected seat. All right, so let's continue. All right, so now we have the selected movie index from the local storage. So we want to know the title of the particular movie that was inside the local storage instead of the index. So we are going to call that one ls movie. So local storage movie. So it's going to be the MovieSelect again. MovieSelect dot options. We are going to select the movie index. Then we want the text content. All right. So the next thing we do after we have, so now we have the text content of the option or the particular movie that was inside the local storage. So the next thing that we want to do is that we are checking if the particular movie, the ls movie, is equal to the movie title, which is returned from the back end. Then we go ahead and also check that if the occupied seat or the occupied seat that is returned also from the back end is not now first, and it is the length of it dot length is greater than 0. That means it should contain, it should not be an empty array. Only then we go ahead to make changes or to make changes to our seat. If it is not that, we are not going to make any changes to the seat. All right, so to make changes to the seat, we have to run a for loop on all the seats that are available. We have selected all the seats here already. All right, so we are going to run a for loop on it. So for each is going to give us the seat, the particular seat that we are on, and its index. All right. Then for each seat, you are going to check whether the particular index inside the particular index of the seat can be located inside the occupied seat array, which was returned from the back end. All right, so we are going to have an if again. We're going to have an if again, which is going to be, we are going to check the occupied seat, which is from the back end. We are going to check an index of with the particular index of the seat which we are iterating on. If that particular index of is greater than -1, then it means it exists. But if it is not that it means that that particular index can't be found. So if it is found, it is going to give us an index which is going to be 0, 1, 2, which is greater than -1. So if you found that, you are going to hold on to that seat and add a class list, and you are going to add to its class list the occupied class, occupied, and remove from it its class list any selected class that it has. All right, hope you guys are following me. All right, so now you are checking that. So one last thing we want to do is, if the now okay guys, so to make the user experience more enjoyable, so if a particular movie that has been selected already with an index has been a particular seat that has been selected has been bought already, then you have to find a way of taking it out of the local storage. I hope you guys get what I'm trying to say. So let's say you go to the website and you choose, let's say you go to the website and you choose Avengers and you choose these 2 seats here, and you come back later and you find out that this seat has been bought. You have to find a way of taking out this seat from the local storage, so that when you switch to this part, you don't still have this seat here. It's not compulsory that you are supposed to buy this one, so that you'll be able to choose your the particular ones that you want to buy. Okay, so let's go into that. So if the seat dash local storage is not equal to now, then want to run a for loop on the seat local storage, a for each. With for each, get the seat and the index. All right, okay, so if it's occupied, if the occupied seat dot includes E, then we want to go ahead and splice out that particular index out of local storage. Sorry, here is supposed to be seat. Seat dot local storage, want to splice it out, the index one time, then you set it back to local storage. Local storage, the set item, and the item you are setting is selected seat. We're setting it back to seat, this one here. All right, okay, so I think guys this is it. So when you have taken it out of the local storage, we have to update our UI, and Brad Travisy already gave us a function that will do that perfectly. So when you look through the scripts file here, you have update selected count, so and it has a comment here, update the total and the count. The total is this, the total is the price, and the count is the number of seats that has been selected by the user. All right, so you are going to use this function to update it after we are done with our activities here. Call it here. All right, okay, so let's go to our database and create some artificial seats right now. Local storage / admin. So we are going to create 2 seats. So on 1, let's see. Save 10. Same person. Okay. Now let's move to this, the movie table, and let's add 2 seats to the Joker movie. Save. All right. Okay, so to show you what I was talking about, the removing of the item from the local storage, let me just choose this one here. Let's say I wanted to buy this the first seat previously, but when I went and come back, somebody has bought it. So let's refresh the page. Okay, so we have an error. Okay, so it says cannot read the property of length 27. Let's fix that quickly. 27. Undefined. Okay guys, so we are getting an error of cannot read property length of dot length of undefined of length of undefined. Okay, so instead of here being seat, it's supposed to be seats. So let's save it, let's go back, let's refresh. Okay, so keep your eyes on this. You can see it's selected. All right, and let me take out these 2. Take out these 2. So we have 3 seats selected. All right. Still didn't work since you have another error. There's no error this time around. Okay, sorry guys, I was so anxious. I thought it was an error. So we added the seats to the Avengers. So let's choose Avengers and let's refresh once again. Wow. Okay, set for each or it's not a function. All right, let's check. Okay, so instead of selecting all, we selected one using query select. Oh, sorry guys, I am very sorry for that. Let me refresh it. This time around it's going to work. It's going to work. So let me bring this thing down so I'll be able to see it very well. Okay, you see how it worked. It just took out the selected of it. So you see, at first we had 3 seats that were selected. Now we have 2 of them has been bought, so only one is updating here. Just one. That's working perfectly. Nice one. Yeah, it's working. So now we can move on to other weightier matters. Okay.